Have you ever planted a honeysuckle bush, waited patiently for spring, and ended up with a grand total of 5 tiny, sour berries? Today we are talking about the ultimate early summer treat, the honeysuckle, or Haskap berry. I'm going to show you exactly what your harvest really depends on. And trust me, it is not just about throwing some dirt over the roots and walking away. In fact, one of the most common pieces of advice about planting these bushes is completely wrong, and it is costing you buckets of fruit. So, are you ready to uncover the real secrets to a heavy harvest? Let me know in the comments right now if you have ever struggled to get fruit from your garden bushes. To really understand what these plants need, we have to look at where they come from. Edible honeysuckle originates from the cold, harsh climates of Siberia, northern China, and Japan. For centuries, these resilient plants survived freezing winters and short summers, producing sweet, antioxidant-rich berries long before strawberries even thought about waking up. But when we bring these wild, rugged plants into our cozy backyard gardens, we often kill them with the wrong kind of kindness. Let us dive right into the absolute biggest reason why your honeysuckle is not producing a massive harvest. The secret lies in cross-pollination. A lot of people go to the garden center, buy one beautiful, healthy-looking honeysuckle bush, plant it in the perfect spot, and wait. And wait. And nothing happens. Here is the undeniable truth. Honeysuckle plants are not self-fertile. You can give that single bush all the love, water, and expensive fertilizer in the world, but without a partner, it will never give you a good harvest. You absolutely must plant at least 2 different varieties of honeysuckle close to each other. Think of them as a team that needs to communicate. Bees and other insects need to travel from the flowers of one variety to the flowers of another variety to transfer the pollen. Without this crucial step, the flowers will just dry up and fall off, leaving you with empty branches. It is a common myth that any 2 bushes will do the trick, but they actually have to be genetically different. So, planting 2 cuttings taken from the exact same mother plant will not work at all. You need 2 distinct, named varieties to get those branches bending under the weight of delicious berries. Now, just grabbing any 2 different varieties is not the end of the story. This brings us to another critical factor that your harvest depends on. You need to pay close attention to their blooming times. Imagine throwing a party where half your guests arrive on Friday and the other half arrive on Sunday. They are never going to meet. The same exact thing happens with your honeysuckle bushes. If you buy an early blooming variety and plant it next to a late blooming variety, their flowers will never be open at the same time. The bees will visit the first bush, but they will have nowhere to take that pollen. Then, 2 weeks later, the second bush will bloom, but the first one will already be done. To get a massive yield, you must pair early varieties with other early varieties, or mid-season varieties with mid-season ones. A great illustration of this is the popular pairing of the Aurora variety with the honeybee variety. They bloom in perfect harmony, guaranteeing that the pollinators can do their job efficiently. Always read the plant tags carefully, or ask your local nursery to recommend the perfect pollination partners before you bring them home. So, you have your perfect pair of bushes. Where exactly should you put them? A very persistent myth in the gardening world is that because honeysuckle is a woodland plant, it loves deep shade. While it is true that they can survive in the shade, surviving is not the same as thriving. If you want a truly spectacular harvest, your bushes need sunlight, and lots of it. Your honeysuckle harvest depends heavily on giving the plants at least 6 to 8 hours of direct, full sun every single day. Sunlight is the energy source that powers flower production, and more flowers equal more berries. When planted in the shade, the bushes will grow tall and leggy, desperately reaching for the light, and they will focus all their energy on growing leaves instead of producing fruit. Furthermore, The berries that do manage to grow in the shade will be noticeably smaller and far more sour. Sunlight is the magical ingredient that develops the natural sugars inside the fruit, turning them from tart little bullets into sweet, melt-in-your-mouth treats. So, find the sunniest spot in your yard and claim it for your berry bushes. Let us talk about the ground you are planting them in, because soil composition is where many gardeners accidentally ruin their chances of a big harvest. There is a huge misconception out there that honeysuckle needs highly acidic soil, just like blueberries. People rush out and buy bags of peat moss and acidifiers, thinking they are doing the plant a favor. This is a massive mistake. Unlike blueberries, honeysuckles actually prefer a more neutral soil pH, ideally sitting right between 6.0 and 7.0. If you make the soil too acidic, you will shock the plant, restrict its ability to absorb necessary nutrients, and severely stunt its growth. What your harvest really depends on is well-draining, nutrient-rich soil. They hate sitting in heavy, soggy clay that suffocates their roots. A brilliant way to prepare the planting hole is to mix in a generous amount of high-quality compost or well-rotted manure. This improves the drainage while providing a slow release of gentle nutrients. Think of it as creating a soft, breathable mattress for the roots to expand into, setting the stage for years of heavy fruiting. Once your bushes are in the ground, we have to tackle the art of watering. Your harvest depends entirely on how well you manage moisture, especially during the crucial period when the plant is setting fruit. Honeysuckle has a relatively shallow root system. This means it cannot reach deep down into the earth to find hidden reserves of water during a dry spell. If the top layer of soil dries out completely while the plant is blooming or while the green berries are forming, the plant will panic. Its survival instinct will kick in, and it will start dropping those unripe berries to conserve energy for the main plant. You must keep the soil consistently moist, but never totally waterlogged. The best way to achieve this is through deep, slow watering once or twice a week, rather than a light sprinkle every single day. A light sprinkle only wets the very surface, encouraging the roots to stay dangerously close to the top. By watering deeply, you train the roots to grow downward, making the plant much stronger and more resilient. Check the soil with your finger. If it feels dry a couple of inches down, it is time to give them a good, long drink. Speaking of keeping the roots happy, there is one simple trick that can drastically increase your berry yield, and it involves mimicking the plant's natural habitat. I am talking about mulching. Since we just learned that honeysuckle roots are shallow, they are extremely vulnerable to temperature swings and rapid moisture loss. If the hot summer sun is baking the bare soil directly above the roots, the plant will suffer immense stress. By adding a thick 3 to 4 inch layer of organic mulch around the base of your bushes, you instantly solve multiple problems at once. You can use wood chips, straw, or shredded leaves for this. This protective blanket acts like a sponge, trapping the moisture in the soil so the roots have a constant supply of water during hot days. It also keeps the root zone nice and cool, which these northern plants absolutely love. As a bonus, as that organic mulch slowly breaks down over the seasons, it feeds the soil, encouraging earthworms and beneficial microbes to move in. Just remember the golden rule of mulching. Keep the material a few inches away from the actual woody stems to prevent any unwanted rot or fungal diseases. Now, let us address the menu. What are we feeding these bushes to get those massive sweet berries? A lot of eager gardeners make the mistake of dumping high-nitrogen fertilizer on their plants right before they bloom. While nitrogen is great for pushing out lots of lush green leaves, it actually discourages the plant from producing flowers. If you overfeed with nitrogen, you will have the most beautiful leafy bush on the block, but zero fruit to show for it. Your harvest depends on a balanced diet, heavily leaning on phosphorus and potassium during the spring. Phosphorus is the key to strong root development and abundant flower clusters, while potassium improves the overall health of the plant and enhances the size and flavor of the berries. The best approach is to apply a balanced, organic fruit tree fertilizer very early in the spring, just as the buds are beginning to swell. Alternatively, top-dressing the soil with a generous layer of rich compost early in the season provides a perfect, gentle stream of nutrients that will not burn the shallow roots. Keep it natural, keep it balanced, and the bushes will reward you. Moving right along, we need to completely rethink how we handle the scissors. Pruning is a topic filled with terrible advice, and doing it wrong will absolutely decimate your harvest. The biggest myth is that you need to prune your honeysuckle bushes every single year, starting from the moment you plant them. Please, put the clippers down. For the first 3 to 5 years of a honeysuckle's life, you should barely touch it. The plant needs all its energy to establish a solid frame and a robust root system. If you start hacking away at a young bush, you are quite literally cutting off your future harvest. Edible honeysuckle produces its fruit on 1-year-old wood. This means the berries you pick this summer are growing on the branches that sprouted last year. Once the bushes mature, around year 5 or 6, you can start a gentle rejuvenation pruning. Your goal is simply to remove any dead, broken, or crossing branches and to thin out the very center of the bush to allow sunlight and fresh air to penetrate. Never give the bush a severe flat-top haircut, or you will be saying goodbye to your beloved berries for an entire season. Let us shift our focus to the uninvited guests who want to steal your harvest. You have done everything right. The branches are loaded with green berries, and they are finally starting to turn blue. Suddenly, you go out one morning, and half the bush is completely stripped bare. Your biggest competitors for the honeysuckle harvest are not usually insects, but birds. Birds absolutely adore these early sweet berries just as much as we do, and they wake up much earlier than you. To protect your hard-earned harvest, you absolutely must use bird netting. As soon as the berries begin to change color, drape a high-quality net over the bushes and secure it firmly at the bottom so the birds cannot hop underneath. Besides birds, keep an eye out for powdery mildew, especially if your bushes are planted too close together without good airflow. Powdery mildew looks like a white dusting of flour on the leaves. While it usually will not kill the plant, it can severely weaken it and reduce next year's crop. A simple preventative spray of neem oil in the early spring and ensuring proper spacing between your plants will keep your foliage healthy and green. Finally, we reach the most exciting part, the harvest itself. But even here, there is a massive trap that almost everyone falls into during their first year growing honeysuckle. You see the berries turn a beautiful, deep, dusty blue, and you immediately rush out with your bowl to pick them. You pop one in your mouth, expecting sweet perfection, and instead, your face puckers up because it is incredibly tart. Here is the ultimate secret to harvesting honeysuckle. They turn blue a full 2 to 3 weeks before they are actually ripe. It is nature's trick. The outside looks totally ready, but the inside is still green and acidic. Your true sweet harvest depends on your patience. Once the berries turn blue, wait. After a week, pick one and bite it in half. If the flesh inside is still green, leave them alone. When the inside turns a deep, rich burgundy purple color, that is when the magic happens. The sugars have fully developed, the acidity has dropped, and the berry will be unimaginably sweet and juicy. A perfectly ripe honeysuckle berry will detach from the stem with just a very gentle tickle. If you have to pull hard, it is simply not ready yet. And there you have it, the real, unfiltered truth about what it takes to get an unbelievable harvest of honeysuckle berries. It all comes down to cross-pollination, matching bloom times, finding the sun, protecting those shallow roots, and having the absolute patience to wait for true ripeness. These plants are incredibly resilient, and they want to give you fruit. When you apply these simple yet powerful strategies, your bushes will transform from lazy lawn ornaments into berry-producing machines. Imagine stepping out into your early summer garden and filling heavy buckets with sweet, healthy fruit year after year, all because you avoided those common mistakes. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and learning how to treat your plants right. If you found these gardening secrets helpful and want to see more content like this, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to share this video with your gardening friends who might be struggling with their own berry patches. Now, I have a question for you to answer. Are you planning to plant your very first honeysuckle bushes this year, or are you trying to rescue an older bush that has stopped giving you fruit? Let us get a conversation started down in the comments below. See you in the next video.